Coming as actually a minority, one of the things that is important to me is to make sure that we don't include biases into the data. You can actually miss key segments of your customers that could be very relevant to your organization. And if you don't use AI to look at data, and if you don't use data-driven things, you can miss minority groups who are contributing to the growth of your company. It's really important to have women in this field and minorities in this field.
You just heard Thai American customer experience expert Areeya Lila. Areeya is the creator of VIEWN, a customer data platform that helps businesses build a better customer experience. We welcome you to the Protect podcast as we introduce you to Areeya. She's an innovator, a leader in the field of AI, and passionate about her work. Let's jump in.
Areeya, I'm so glad that you could be with us today on the podcast. And I want you to break down for everyone the formula.
I call it the formula because, like with many immigrant families, the formula is get good grades, go to a good school, and then get a great job out of school, not necessarily going down the entrepreneurial route, right?
How do you feel personally about the formula?
There's always something ticking on the back of my head, which was entrepreneurship and really wanting to be out on my own. I just always had a little bit larger view of what impact I could bring to myself. And the hardest part about the formula is leaving it. And I hear that like a lot of people in their 40s decide to become entrepreneurs, especially the more average age. You go in and you get your experience, you can come out and try to work for yourself. Definitely a pivot in terms of how you conduct yourself and how much you need to rely on a network and people. After working in IT and working in software development, still staying within like digital customer journey as a thread all my career, I ended up in a little bit of a weird contractor cycle where they said in 6 months we'll hire you in. Well, that became 3 years. And after 3 years of not having benefits and really having to fend for yourself, I decided, I kind of like this. If I have to do it anyways, why don't I become an entrepreneur? And what I did though is I built the project on the side. And that's kind of how we ended up on this journey. It was number one, we tried a free data warehouse through the Chrome store, and we got 250 people interested. And then we found out that's exactly what they needed, is a place in the cloud where they had multiple files and needed one place to put it in and start to report off of it. And that was kind of where we started with our customer data platform. Then we realized that there was privacy concerns and what you need to do in order to get certain things that they asked for. So that's why we ended up with an AI-enabled customer data platform, really focused for Shopify owners now.
Your brain is so much faster than mine. So let me absorb this and see if we can break it down for the listeners. Like, first of all, you say we did this. Who's the we?
Oh, yes. So my co-founder and I is also my partner, Roberto. Yeah, he's also my husband. And he's
Definitely a partner. Definitely a partner.
Yes, different, all sides of partners. But we never worked for each other. But we had this idea that we wanted to maybe become independent. And so we thought we could come up with a simple software offering for people who would need it with simple pricing. And then people would just use it because they needed it. That was like the very simple plan that was so much more complex. 2011, 2012, we did a lot of big data as a service on the side, which were more project based, but we wanted to really find like a product based offering.
Tell the world about what is the offering, all this knowledge, all these experiences, and all the collaboration between you and Roberto have led to what offering?
Okay. So businesses right now have all realized that customer experience is the way that they have to differentiate and the way that they can compete against their other brands. So brands are turning towards customer experience, and the way that they're managing that customer experience is through their customer data. That was our big aha. And so what we came up with was a software designed by marketers. This whole time we did an IDEO design thinking approach to our software design. And what we came up with was a no code customer data platform, which helps retailers connect, integrate, and manage their existing customer data without the need of IT resources. So that way they can segment and create more personalized campaigns. So we're not trying to just replace applications. We can enhance your existing applications by giving you insights on giving you more granular insights onto who your customers are.
I'm going to throw you out a scenario and see what you would do with your entity. Say I have 3 locations of a brick and mortar operation, and maybe I'm selling clothing for athletes. And amongst the clothing, I also have sports shoes, other types of gadgets that are wearable. And because of the success in my 3 stores, I have an online component to a e-commerce component that I started maybe just 2 years ago. I want to scale it. What does your company do for me if I approach you? Like, how can I get help and why do I need help?
Oh, yeah, sure. So oftentimes when you have three different locations, you have three different systems running. So one of the big problems when you have three different systems running is that you have what we call data silos, and the information it gets stuck in each of the different places that you work. We could connect the data that you have across the different locations and aggregate them up so that way you have a single view of the business with the three different locations. So that's basically the software that you run your transactions and process your transactions. And we can connect them the data that you have related to how you're nurturing your campaigns run. So your emails, your text messages, we start to understand and collect the customer journey related to that, as well as your Google Analytics data. And we can start to understand what behaviors are inferred there. You can offer up discounts or promotions related to those specific categories. That can cause a more serendipitous type of scenario online, which will increase conversions by over 300%.
Your data, you say no code, AI enabled. Why can't I have a human that just compiles all this data?
After you have millions of rows, or after you're talking to 20,000 customers at a time, there's a lot of manual error or manual input. As a past data analyst, let me tell you, there is a lot of data preparation that goes into working just one data model. Every time you would like that model to run, you would have to manually do it again. We run different marketing models within our platform, and they continuously run. So that way you don't have all that manual work. Number one, which you would never be able to have a team of 10 doing. Number two, in the past, we never had the compute power. In the past, and before cloud computing, we didn't actually have the computing power in order to know what we know these days.
Now I'm getting all this data streamed and
Yeah.
numbers crunched by a computer, by your app. How does this help me now? What's going to happen to me in time? You said 300% conversion rate.
Number one, we auto segment your data. If somebody has bought within the last 10 days, you could have a nurturing campaign because you know that. You can also do certain categories and promotions for seasonality. So those are really important as well.
That's good information though, because I know certain Amazon optimizing
Mhm.
software talks of that capacity. But what I like about yours is that you can take a brick and mortar. There's a lot of these hybrid operations now where they have physical stores and then they've
Yeah.
got their e-commerce
Online, yeah.
component.
If you nurture them properly, your store customers can also become your online store customers. That's one really great use case that we have. You get to see the single customer view, an end-to-end view of the customer from the whole life cycle. When they buy from you is just the beginning. But then when we go understand the behaviors to repurchase, and that's really where we can get that 300% conversion. But it was when you can really have your brand experience be the same, whether in your store or if they're doing a search and finding your products and subscribing for something online. That's the view we have for a lot of our health and wellness brands. They have a lot of opportunities to do subscriptions online from their activities that they do in store.
Okay, VIEWN.com. And you're on LinkedIn too.
Yeah.
Where can people find you
Yes, you
on
could
LinkedIn?
definitely find me on LinkedIn at How Are Ya? HOWAREEYA. um, in the past, I used to work in airports a lot and wear earphones, and a lot of people would be like, "How are ya?" And I'd be like, "Hey, who called my name? Who called my name?" So that became my username.
You're really doing 21st century stuff. That's what has impressed me about you. I mean, you've got so much insight into pretty much where we are going. This
I
flow towards AI is going up, but you've already been in that field. You've already been dealing with AI for a while, right?
Well, we've been working on it for the last 4 years exactly. That's definitely my cup of tea. Yes.
Many people are using AI now in general. They're just researching things and getting feedback, but your AI is targeted with a purpose. I'm thinking this is going to save me hundreds of hours.
On top of that, with my purview on AI, it's very important that we look at bias and make sure that we keep bias unchecked. Coming as actually a minority, one of the things that is important to me is to make sure that we don't include biases into the data. If you do so, you can actually miss key segments of your customers that could be very relevant to your organization. And if you don't use AI to look at data, and if you don't use data driven things, you can miss minority groups who are contributing to the growth of your company. It's really important to have women in this field and minorities in this field.
Be frank with us and let us know, Ari. I mean, my take is like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but AI is almost like the adopting of it now that we're encouraged to have. It almost reminds me of when people were saying in the early 80s, like, you need to get a computer, you need to have a home computer.
Yeah,
And it's like, if you didn't, your kids and yourself are going to miss the boat, even when they were like very expensive at that time. I remember like
right. Yes,
4,000.
I remember. We got like a Tandy at a Radio Shack. Yeah, and it was expensive. Like it got its own section in the house. It's important to stay in the technology. Like it's easier to get into it and stay into it because it is cutting edge. It doesn't really matter the age. You get to see its adaptations, and its limitations. A lot of young people think that technology is for the young, but it's not necessarily true. There's a lot of people middle age that just never left technology and understand it just as well.
Do you and Roberto have a way where clients can try out viewing for like a brief period of time?
If you sign up through Shopify, we could find us in the Shopify marketplace. We connect directly through, and you can actually try it for 14 days. I'll be in touch with you to try to connect as much data as you can and see value in it, especially with the auto segmentation. So that way you'll see value in it and be able to work with us right away.
I've got a product, my competitor has a product. They're selling just about as much as I'm selling online from what I can tell. We're both only e-commerce, but my growth has started to slow down. So I go on to Shopify, I download your 2-week free trial. What am I getting out of that 2-week free trial that's going to convince me at the end that I need this to overcome the challenges and soar past my competition? What am I going to see in those 2 weeks that's going to make me become a believer?
You'll start seeing that the transactions are automatically segmented in conversations that you have that are more one to one. The other thing that you'll start to see, especially if you have those multi-location problems, is that you'll be able to, for the first time, get all your data in one place. So with our AI-enabled persona discovery, we're able to find what factors within the purchasing journeys make an impact on the purchase. And what you'll do is you'll be able to create A one-on-one personalization that does give you that quantum leap. It's looking at the factors of a purchase objectively.
That's what people need. I mean, there's so many decisions that are made just kind of off emotion or gut feeling, but there's
Yes.
like no data.
Right. And even if there's a lot of data, there's still no data sometimes. That's what we do. We help put it together so that way you have something and your data becomes a business asset.
So now you are located in Florida, right?
Yes, we're in Florida. We always believed that you could work from anywhere. We are a remote team. I'm in Florida. We have developers in Kazakhstan and San Francisco, as well as marketers in Boston. We've always believed that we could work from anywhere as long as you show up for the job. I used to go to Japan where they would put in crazy, crazy hours at the office. Not all of that can be productive time. So you see a lot of people reading the newspaper, drinking coffee because they have to be there. I take the time of the have to be there out, filtering out the productive time.
And so we're in 2023. What is VIEWN's mission for 2023?
I want to find retailers to help and start writing like those success stories. Like I'd like to find about a dozen large retailers that would really like to start writing out the story on how we can benefit them, whether it's increased retention, reduced churn, or finding those differentiators in your brand. That would be the best view for the year. It's really the opportunity cost. Can you afford to miss 300% in revenue?
Whoa, put that in numbers for me. Like a retailer is doing X amount now, but they could be doing what amount?
If you're a $10 million business, I would like to be able to make you a $30 million business. So, based on the information that we have about your customers, and really focus on getting the repurchase and the customer experience right. So that way they become brand advocates of yours.
What was it about little Aria that turned her into big Aria that wants to do this?
Part of it was ambition, part of it was just seeing opportunity. There's an opportunity in the market to help people. I didn't realize helping people is actually difficult. You have to really scope it specifically for them. I really wanted to make a larger impact on this world. The opportunities that I've had in Florida, they're smaller for me. We're not necessarily a tech hub, although we want to be. Florida is becoming more of a crypto hub, less of an AI hub. But we really believe you should be able to work from anywhere and even raise money from anywhere. It's harder, but not impossible.
Speaking of that, it leads me to this thought. I mean, you are able to work with any firm remotely, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that means someone in San Jose, California can connect with you and benefit immediately.
Yeah, yeah, we're 100% cloud based, so there's nothing to install and nothing to code in order to start using our product. The best way to benefit in your business is for me to understand your business model. My AI can't come in and say, "Oh, your business model is like this." It's not that smart.
So if you own a business, whether brick or mortar or an e-commerce business, I encourage you to reach out to Areeya Lila. The link to her LinkedIn profile is in the comments to this particular podcast, and you can find her business at VIEWN, VIEWN.com. Take advantage of that 2-week trial. She will show you things you have never seen before.